The Man with Six Shadows, Part 1. Marcus Johnson lived like a man with two faces. To his wife, Denise, he was the dependable husband, 9 to 5, church on Sundays, always home in time for dinner. But in the hidden pockets of his life, Marcus had built 6 other worlds, each one tethered to him by a woman, and each woman tethered by a child with his eyes. He provided for them all. Rent slipped quietly through money orders. Car notes paid before they could even be late. Birthday parties where he was always a family friend or Uncle Marcus. He'd mastered the art of being everywhere and nowhere, sliding in and out of lives like a shadow no one questioned. Denise never suspected a thing. His excuses were airtight. Late work meetings, helping his brother, overtime to cover the bills. She trusted him because he never gave her reason not to. But Marcus was stretched thin. Each child grew. Each woman demanded more, and secrets multiplied like debts. What once felt thrilling became a chess game he was playing against himself. The breaking point came on a rainy Saturday morning. Denise suggested they take their daughter, little Ariana, to the zoo. Marcus agreed, thinking it was a harmless family day. But when they got to the ticket booth, Denise froze. Standing in line just a few feet away was a little boy, no more than 6, tugging at his mother's hand. He had Marcus's smile, Marcus's dimple, Marcus's eyes. Denise turned slowly to her husband. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice sharp as broken glass. "Why does that child look exactly like you?" Panic shot through him, but before he could stammer a lie, the boy called out clear as day, "Daddy!" Every lie Marcus ever told cracked open in that one word. The women he had juggled, the families he had kept apart, the double life he had worn like a second skin, all of it collapsed in the middle of the zoo, under the gray sky and the stares of strangers. Denise's face drained of color. Ariana clutched her mother's hand, confused. And Marcus, the man who thought he could control 6 shadows at once, finally learned what happens when shadows meet the light. The Man with 6 Shadows, Part 2. The zoo became a stage for Marcus's undoing. Denise's stare was heavy, her silence heavier. The boy's mother, Kiana, froze when she realized what had slipped from her son's mouth. Her eyes darted between Marcus and Denise like a thief caught in a spotlight. Marcus stammered. "Baby, listen, I can explain," but Denise's voice cut through him. "Explain what? That my husband's got children running around this city calling him daddy?" Word travels fast in silence. Denise didn't make a scene. Not yet. She simply turned, gripped Ariana's hand, and walked out, leaving Marcus scrambling to follow. That night, the house became a war zone of truth. "How many, Marcus?" she demanded, her voice trembling with fury. He hesitated. That hesitation was his confession. "1," he started, but she caught the lie in his throat. "Don't you dare lie to me again!" Finally, Marcus broke. 6. 6 children!" The words shattered Denise. She sat down hard, as if the weight of them crushed her chest. 6, each from a different woman. Each living a life funded by the money he told her went to bills. She thought of every sacrifice she had made, working double shifts, saving pennies for their daughter's future, while Marcus played savior in 6 secret homes. The fallout was brutal. Denise called the women one by one. Some hung up, some cried. One cursed her out for acting like she was the only one. Within a week, the truth spread like wildfire. 6 mothers, who thought they were special, now realizing they were part of a rotation. The kids suffered most. Some were too young to understand, others old enough to feel betrayed. And Marcus, who once prided himself on being the provider, was suddenly the villain in every room he entered. Denise threw him out. Divorce papers followed, messy and expensive. The other women who once depended on his help now demanded more. Child support through the courts, not backdoor cash. Marcus's paychecks vanished into obligations, his lies now debts with interest. But the hardest part wasn't the money. It was the silence of his daughter, Ariana. She used to run into his arms when he came home. Now she looked at him with the same question in her eyes that Denise once asked at the zoo. Why? Marcus lived to see his empire of secrets collapse. The man who once believed he could balance 6 shadows learned that the truth always catches up, and when it does, it doesn't whisper. It roars. The Man with 6 Shadows, Part 3. Marcus Johnson's world was stripped bare. His house was gone. Denise sold it after the divorce. His money evaporated into child support payments that hit harder than any tax bill. His reputation? Ruined. At church, where he once held his head high as a deacon, whispers followed him like gnats. Friends vanished. Even family kept their distance. But the deepest wound was Ariana. She wouldn't speak to him. When he came for visitation, she sat stiff on the couch, eyes glued to her phone, pretending he wasn't there. He bought her toys, clothes, sneakers, things she once begged him for, but she barely touched them. Love, he learned, couldn't be bought with boxes. One night, after dropping Ariana back at Denise's, Marcus sat alone in his tiny apartment, staring at the 6 photos on his fridge. 6 children, 6 smiles, all carrying a piece of him. And yet, he felt like a ghost in every one of their lives. Provider? Yes. Father? Barely. That was the moment he broke. No more lies. No more pretending he was the man who had it all under control. Marcus walked into a support group at the community center, room full of men with the same tired eyes, stories of failure, betrayal, addiction, fatherhood gone wrong. He spoke for the first time, admitting the kind of man he had been. His voice shook, but it was the first truth he'd told in years. Weeks turned into months. He started showing up, not just with money, but with time. PTA meetings, doctor's appointments, weekend games, birthdays he didn't just stop by for, but stayed until the cake was gone. Some of the mothers resisted, bitter at the years of deception. Others softened, seeing him try. But Ariana was the toughest. She had walls taller than any of the other kids. For her, Marcus was the man who shattered her family. One spring afternoon, she finally cracked. At her soccer game, Marcus sat alone in the bleachers, cheering louder than anyone. She scored the winning goal. The crowd roared, and for the first time in months, Ariana ran to him, collapsing into his arms. "I hate you," she whispered, tears hot against his chest. "But I don't want you to leave." Marcus hugged her like a man gripping the last rope out of hell. He knew redemption wasn't about winning Denise back. She had moved on. It wasn't about silencing the whispers or erasing the shame. It was about showing up every day until the children who bore his eyes could say without hesitation, "That's my father." Marcus, the man with 6 shadows, had finally stepped into the light. The Man with 6 Shadows, Part 4. Told by his son, Isaiah. When I was little, I didn't understand why my dad wasn't always around. I'd hear the other kids at school talk about their fathers, how they lived together, how they threw a football in the backyard, how they sat at the dinner table every night. Me? My dad came in bursts. A Saturday here, a birthday there. He'd smile big, hug tight, slip money into my mom's hands, and then vanish again. At first, I thought that was normal. But as I got older, I started noticing things. The way my mom's face tightened whenever he left. The way she and him whispered in the kitchen, voices sharp even when their words weren't clear. The way another kid, at a park once, ran up to him and yelled, "Daddy!" And my dad froze like he'd been caught stealing. That's when I knew. My dad wasn't just my dad. He belonged to other kids, too. I hated him for that. But then something changed. He stopped disappearing, stopped being a ghost. He started showing up to my basketball games, every single one. Rain or shine, win or lose, I could look in the stands and see him there, clapping like I was the only player on the court. At first, I thought it was fake, a show. But he kept coming. He'd ride the bus with me to tournaments, sit through practices, even help rebound when the coach needed an extra hand. One night, when I was 13, I asked him straight out, "Why weren't you here before?" He sighed, rubbed his hands over his face, and told me everything. About the 6 kids, about the lies, about how he lost his marriage because he thought he could be everywhere at once and ended up being nowhere that mattered. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell him to leave, but another part, deeper, wanted to believe him. So I gave him a chance. Now, years later, I look back and realize something. My dad was flawed. Deeply. He broke hearts, including mine. But he never gave up trying to fix what he broke. He never stopped showing up. And maybe that's what makes a man a father. Not being perfect, not even being faithful, but choosing every day to keep showing up even when the world sees you as a failure. To most people, Marcus Johnson was the man with 6 shadows. To me, he was just Dad. The Man with 6 Shadows, Part 5, the final part. Marcus Johnson was an old man now. His hair had thinned, his back ached when he bent too long, and his voice carried the gravel of years lived too hard. But on this warm summer evening, sitting at the long table in a rented park pavilion, he felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Peace. All 6 of his children were there. Grown now, each with their own lives, their own children running through the grass. Denise had remarried long ago, but even she showed up, sitting a little apart, watching with arms crossed, though Marcus caught the faintest smile tugging at her lips when their granddaughter hugged her knees. It wasn't easy to get them all together. Some hadn't spoken in years. There had been bitterness, rivalries, even resentment at times, remnants of the chaos Marcus had sown. But now, for one evening, the noise of the past was drowned out by laughter, the smell of barbecue and kids shouting for another round of tag. Isaiah, his son, stood to speak. "You know, when I was a kid, I used to be embarrassed by how complicated our family was. I used to think we were broken. But looking at us now, I don't see broken. I see bigger. Bigger than most people can handle, but still family." Everyone clapped, and Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. When the noise settled, Marcus pushed himself up with effort. His hands shook, but his voice was steady. "I don't deserve the forgiveness you all gave me," he began. "I was a selfish man. I thought I could live 6 lives without paying the price, and I lost more than I'll ever get back." He glanced toward Denise, who met his eyes for a moment before looking away. "But the truth is, y'all saved me. Each of you. My children. You gave me a reason to keep showing up when I didn't deserve to be let in. I don't have much time left. But if I leave you with anything, let it be this. Don't run from your mistakes. Face them. Fix them. And never, never stop showing up. Stop showing." Silence hung heavy for a moment. Then Ariana, his first daughter, broke it with a smile. "We know, Daddy. We love you." And just like that, 6 shadows no longer felt like shadows at all. They were sons, daughters, grandchildren, a family. Not perfect, but real. As the sun dipped behind the trees, Marcus leaned back in his chair, listening to the laughter of his grandchildren. For the first time in his life, he wasn't juggling lies or running from truth. He was simply a father, and this time, that was enough.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.